Naked pictures of your mother. Naked pictures of your mother.
Author's notes. This story is based on a char I created called Skleena. She is called the Mother Goddess since she is the one who created all life. Now this story is linked to my other story called My Inner Life. This story talks about Skleena's history with planet Gaia, the planet where Hyrule rests on.
No! No, 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 no!
We follow Skleena down her woes as she talks about her past histories with having to save Hyrule from more than one evil. Now, as you read this, you will find that this story has many references to stories I've seen on this site. So be warned! Now the chars used in this story are all mine except the ones related to Zelda. Any usage of the chars. Skleena, her guardians, Kronos, Ice Dancer, and my version of Mew, Link's children, Link Jr., Eliesia, Rowan, and Rina, will be prosecuted without my express permission to use them. I put years of sweat, blood, and soul into their creation, and I don't want them stolen. I will protect them with all legal avenues.
What are you, Richard? That won't work!
Rated PG equals 13 for adult language, blood content, and violence. 1. Dark memories. Blue sky. A cool breeze. Skleena looked up from the balcony of her castle in the 5th dimension. The wind blew through her hair as she stretched out her wings to fan them. She flexed out her claws as she watched the distant clouds roll, causing shapes of creatures to form in them. The beautiful scenery of the land below always made for peaceful thoughts. She sniffed the air, and a familiar scent filled her nostrils. Ah, Kronos, you finally returned, Skleena said as her eyes continued to look down. The shape of a muscular black dragon appeared in the doorway behind her. He flapped his wings before folding them and approaching her.
I just finished my rounds around planet Gaia,
Kronos said as his yellow eyes moved across the peaceful landscape.
All is peaceful, even in the land of Hyrule.
Skleena looked up once more, then gracefully turned her cat face towards him. Her emerald green eyes stared down into his. Did you patrol all versions and timelines, especially the one where Link's wife has obtained elemental powers? Skleena questioned, her ears twitching.
Yes, I did, Mother. All is quiet. No signs of evil in all versions of Hyrule.
Kronos' tail twitched as he scanned over Skleena's expression. With a sigh, Skleena resumed looking over the landscape. We must make sure that no evil ever takes over Hyrule. Especially nothing must befall their hero of time. He is the key. All life outside and in depends on it. Skleena's emerald eyes grew a worried look as haunting memories filled into her mind. Even with my powers, my prime directive will always stand. Not to interfere with the lives of my children. That is why I appointed you and your sister guardians, Mew and Ice Dancer. Kronos' nostrils flared as stared at Skleena's back.
I understand, Mother. I will rally Ice Dancer and Mew and pass the Guardian's crystal on to them so they may watch over Hyrule without interference.
I think that's a wise decision, my son. Now go find your sisters and keep Hyrule protected. We must never have any more incidents as we have in the past. Skleena said, her voice filled with concern.
Yes, Mother.
Kronos returned. Then the black dragon bowed, turned, and walked out. Skleena resumed scanning the landscape of the land below her castle. How she enjoyed watching the teeming life she created, roaming free on the plains she created for them. But today she could not enjoy her usual way to relax. Her mind was filled with haunting memories of past incidents where evil in many shapes almost took over Hyrule. Hyrule was the key. the one she used to connect all life she created. It was the prototype used in creating her children. By doing so, all life outside Hyrule and beyond the planet is now linked to it. But it is Link who held the key. Link is the first wave of protection that Hyrule has, but most of all, he is linked to the Triforce. It was the Triforce in which Skleena created through the goddesses as the center of Hyrule's creation. And it is the Triforce that gives life to Hyrule. If anything should befall Link, Hyrule will die. And if Hyrule dies, all life outside the planet will succumb to the effects of its demise. Even though she could stop any evil with the power she possesses, it's the prime directive she sets up that keeps her from personally interfering with the lives of her children, unless it's too big for her guardians to handle. She began to remember the times where she did indeed have to step in on more than one occasion, preventing a catastrophic disaster each time. Like the time where a dark vampire invaded Hyrule. He persuaded Ganondorf into joining the vampire world with him. Together they infected half of Hyrule with the vampire virus, including Link, and left a trail of blood behind them. When Link's connection with the Triforce was severed due to him being infected, the land fell sick, causing disasters on neighboring worlds. She physically had to go there and dispose of the evil being. The stress it caused. She remembered that it took nearly a week to clean out the virus and turn all affected back to normal. What was even worse is that with her morals, all that died in that dark time were not allowed to be revived. The only one who is an exception is Link, since he's the key. But thank God Link was not added to the body count. What a mess that was for the rest of all life. The dark event nearly caused havoc on other races as the virus started spreading to other worlds. Then it was the additional cleaning that it took her to rid the worlds of the virus and restore the lives of the affected. Then there was the time where Link was lured back to the water temple by the altar image of himself. What a atrocity that was! It sickened Skleena for days, as she remembered that Link's copy lured him there in an act of dark lust. The thought of it made her stomach lurch. She even remembered the pain he felt as he was being violated. Something that still haunts her to this day. It was even harder when she teleported into the room to retrieve Link and saw the hero being violated by the sick being. The scene caused her to be outraged, which was one of the few times where she actually killed a part of her creation. Then there were the countless times where Ganondorf also tried to lure Link into a triangle of dark lust. Each incident was worse than the last. And then there were even times where Ganondorf succeeded in raping the hero of time. It was those sick events that caused Skleena to go into all the different possible timelines Hyrule had and kill Ganondorf in all but one. The one where Link had defeated Ganon and sent him back into the Sacred Realm. Even though the threat of his return existed only in that reality, Jenna, his wife, who is a descendant of the Silverlight race, possessed the power over the elements and was a strong enough warrior to protect that version of Hyrule on her own. She folded her dragon wings over her chest. The spikes on the edges of her wings dangled behind her trimmed legs. Her lion lips parted, revealing sharp, dagger-like fangs behind them. Her lizard-like claws gripped down harder onto the railing she was holding, as the dark and tainted memories of twisted evil plagued her mind like a deadly disease. The memories continued, causing the slits in her green eyes to widen. She remembered all the times when Link went insane. Skleena remembered it like it was yesterday. She swiftly turned her head away, trying to erase the memories haunting her. But it was a vain attempt. Again came the memories of when Link went suicidal, rushing through her mind like a raging river. One instance in one timeline, after Link defeated Ganondorf, he refused to be sent back in time. After he denied this to Zelda, she planned a secret plot of revenge, wanting to have him hanged for rape against her and others in Hyrule, causing Link to shrink into the blackness, as Navi was his only friend, though that only turned out to be for naught, as it was only a friendship of lust. And even after that, he still killed himself, her face twisted at the foul memory, her ears flattened against her head as she remembered the aftershocks of the incident. Most of the neighboring worlds fell sick, due to the fact that Link's connection with the Triforce was severed, causing Hyrule to fall ill. What a disaster that was! It was like a deadly prophecy had come true, plaguing the quiet lives of other races nearby. Skleena made a small groan rumble in her throat, as it slowly rose up and out her mouth, her lips curling back more, reveling more of her deadly fangs. Curse that incident, it was hell, as she remembered the devastation she had to fix after she revived Link. And that was not even the only one. There was also one timeline where Link felt so under pressure from having to complete his duties as the hero of time that he committed suicide, right inside the Temple of Time. And the timeline when he went crazy after Navi committed suicide due to the fact that she was a fairy who was in love with a half-elven. Again, the disasters that caused. She tightened her grip on the railing, her tail swishing vigorously as the memories of death continued. The timeline where Ganondorf tricked Link into believing that only one person can survive with the Triforce. In that dark hour, Link killed Zelda, then let Ganondorf kill him. He was actually tricked into believing the crazy notion that he was a tattered, tortured soul and should die anyway. There were even the times where Link went on a killing spree, like one where he felt like he was repeating the same events over and over again. This caused him to have an insanity trip, so he made sure that he killed everyone possible, including all his friends, them himself, so he would not have to repeat the events again. And it was in those timelines where she was not allowed to revive the people he left dead in his wake. Again, it was another disaster where Skleena had to fix the tragic events that plagued the races of neighboring worlds when Link's connection with the Triforce was severed. She even remembered the time when a faceless dark evil invaded Hyrule and ravaged the land in the act of bloodlust. The way this being killed its victims sickened Skleena. How anyone could kill with such twisted evil caused Skleena to fill with rage as she remembered the way some of the victims died. She remembered how Epona was hung from a tree by her legs, her throat slit, how Saria was mangled to death, how Malon was pulled apart, people being burned to death, the pain, the suffering, the lives lost, so many lives lost! Ampersand, number sign, 8,230, semicolon, ... No! She roared, the thoughts being too much for her to bear. Her claws ripped into the railing, mangling it under her immense strength, as she gritted her long fangs together. Breathing heavily, she swiftly spread her wings out wide, her white gown whipping wildly around her clawed feet as her body shook with a deadly rage. She stared wide-eyed at a blanket of nothingness as she was blinded by the flashing memories of twisted darkness. She feared for the lives of her children. She knew she had the power to stop anything. But it was her morals that was making her feel so helpless. "Link!" came the slight whisper as it passed her muzzled lips. "Nothing must become of you, or all will perish." Skleena said, barely audible, as she rose her face skyward. Skleena stretched out her wings and placed one of her clawed feet up on the mangled railing. The three clawed-like gargoyle foot helped brace her as she got ready to push herself off the balcony and take flight. Just as she started to push herself off, the sound of hooves clicking on the stone floor in the room behind her made her ears perk up. The clicking came closer until it was right behind her.
Excuse me interruption, Mother, but I need to speak with you. It is of great importance.
Skleena lowered her foot and turned to see a white ice unicorn standing behind her. The unicorn's black eyes shone with great urgency. "Ice Dancer, my daughter, what is wrong?" Skleena said, her eyes filled with worry.
"You must come quickly, mother. There is something wrong in Hyrule. Link is in grave danger."
"What's wrong, daughter? What danger is Link in?"
"It's Ganondorf, mother. In the Timeline where Ganondorf still exists, he's returned to seek vengeance on Link. He's already hunted down his family and is proceeding to take out his revenge on them."
Ice Dancer said with begging urgency. Skleena just stared at her with unblinking eyes, her whole being shaking as if there was an earthquake. "We must act quickly, my child. Where are your sister and brother?"
"They have already arrived at the Temple of Seeking."
Ice Dancer returned. Skleena turned and put her clawed foot back on the mangled railing and pushed herself off, taking flight. The ice unicorn soon followed, spreading her ice wings and taking flight, following Skleena in pursuit. Turning her head, she stared at the ice unicorn following her. "We must hurry, daughter! Time is of the essence!" Skleena cried out over the hollowing wind as they swiftly flew to the west, towards the Temple of Seeking. The sky was setting off tones of deep pink and lavender, the sun nearly fading from the horizon as Skleena and Ice Dancer arrived at the Temple of Seeking. Landing softly on the cobblestone road that led to the temple, Skleena watched as the sun slowly faded into the horizon where Ice Dancer landed nearby, her hooves clicking on the cobblestone as she landed. Swiftly, Skleena turned and faced the Temple of Seeking, her face reflecting concern, her eyes filled with fear. As she walked down the cobblestone road, the temple looming over her as she came closer. Stopping in front of the massive ivory doors, Ice Dancer came to a stop behind Skleena as she waved a clawed hand. A white light started glowing around it, the scales of her hand reflecting off the light as it reached to the ivory doors, slowly opening them. Walking inside, Skleena walked down the dimly lit corridors. The only source of light came from the torches lit along the ivory walls. They made their way to the central chamber, the place where the Crystal of Seeking rested. Slowly the doors of the central chamber opened, revealing a beautifully set room. A soft white glow illuminated the room, its pearl-white walls reflecting off the smooth, glassy floor. The room was a circular shape. Its dome-shaped ceiling shone with beautiful paintings of each species of life Skleena created. And at the very center of the paintings sat the Triforce as the symbol for the creation of all life. In the center sat the Crystal of Seeking. Its peaceful glow extended its reach into the dark corridor Skleena was standing in. Waking forth, two figures looked up in Skleena's direction. Moving in front of the crystal, the shapes revealed a massive, muscular black dragon and a beautiful pink-like cat with blue eyes and a long tail. Seemingly able to float on air without the aid of wings, the pink cat moved over towards Skleena and stopped in front of her, hovering over the ground as if no gravity was present. The pink creature bowed then, her aqua-blue eyes looking into Skleena's. "Thank goodness you're here, Mother. You must come quickly. The situation on planet Gaia is escalating. Link's life is in danger. Ganondorf is getting closer to completing his revenge against Link," the pink cat said, her blue eyes welling up with fear. "You, my child, we must act quickly then," Skleena replied, folding her wings over her chest and advancing towards the crystal. The four of them surrounded the Crystal of Seeking, its soft white glow getting brighter as they concentrated their energy into it, giving the crystal life. Slowly, as if a portal was being opened up in time, images of figures fighting appeared in the crystal's center. Soon the crystal revealed a figure in green standing in front of 4 smaller figures, sword raised, poised like a cobra waiting to strike. Another figure was slowly advancing on the figure in green, with a sword raised that must have been at least 10 feet long. Skleaner soon realized that the figure in green was Link! And all the 4 of them could do was watch in horror as the events unfolded before them.
Naked pictures